James Kimonyo, it is a pleasure to have you here. Good morning. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Are all the preparations underway? Is it all systems go for the Rwandan elections?
Yes. I mean, everything is in place. Registration of voters is ongoing. Presidential candidates have presented their candidature to the Electoral Commission. And at the moment, the vetting process is ongoing. The Commission will announce the final list of candidates on 7th of July, this coming Friday. And I think the Commission has everything in place to conduct the elections.
I'm trying to make a comparison between, you have less than 40 days. Here in Kenya, we have about 42 days. And do you think you're ready? Even as you compare the two situations?
No, I think we are ready. We are ready in the sense that the commission that's supposed to oversee the whole process has put in place necessary arrangements in terms of voters register, in terms of identifying polling stations, preparing people who are going to oversee and conduct elections. The civic education has taken place and candidates have presented themselves and ballot papers are being printed. And I think we don't anticipate any major difficulties in the whole process.
The European Union has said it will not send electoral observers, and Rwanda is seen to say that we are unbothered with this.
Well, we are open for all sorts of observers to come and observe the whole process. And anybody who is willing to do so, there is a process that we go through. Those who think that they are not willing to come, I don't think that will stop the process to take place.
Mm-hmm. The number of people who say or think that Rwanda is almost getting into a dictatorial regime could be perhaps because President Paul Kagame has been in power since 2000, or the circumstances surrounding how the constitution was changed to allow him get a third term. Your thoughts?
Well, I don't know where they draw their conclusion, because and it depends on how they define dictatorship. Because what is happening in Rwanda, or what has happened in Rwanda all this time since after the genocide, this is a country with a people who have their culture, traditions, ethics, and values. And these people came together to make a decision on how the country is going to be led, to shape their destiny. And the process of amending the constitution followed all the steps. Like any other country, this is the 5th amendment of our constitution. And the amendment was based on the choice of the people. If you remember very well what happened in 2015, about 60% of eligible voters petitioned the parliament, asking the parliament to review Article 101 of the Constitution to allow the president to run again. And the reasons that were given by the people, and I'm saying the people in Rwanda, as well as those who live outside Rwanda, expressed the same view. And it followed the whole process to the parliament. The parliament and the Senate conducted nationwide consultations with people. People came up with the same views. And as usual, this had to be presented in a form of referendum. People turned out to vote. About 98% voted in favor of amending the constitution to allow the president to run for the 3rd term. The reasons given mainly were to maintain stability. Remember, this is a country that has gone through so much. The country that had a political system that was based on identity politics. The society that was deeply divided to the extent that this politics of a division culminated into the 1994 genocide that was committed against the Tutsi. So people had their own feelings and views, and these are Rwandans who expressed their views, to the point where the referendum was conducted and the president was allowed to run for the 3rd term. He was consulted. So took time for him to accept.
So everything is happening that is happening is because the people of Rwanda wanted it.
It's the choice. I mean, sometimes I fail to understand how someone from somewhere can simply brand Rwanda's leadership as dictatorial regime without even explaining. Because a dictatorship is characterized by many things. You can't have a dictatorship that works for people, that delivers services to people. If you look at the global ranking, in every sector, from social to economy to security to stability to women empowerment to youth, everything, single sector that you talk of, Rwanda is the best. Now, that doesn't match with the dictatorship. see my point? You can't have a dictatorship that allows people to have full access to information. This is the country that is leading almost any country in the region in terms of allowing people to express their views. Just to give you an example, yesterday, from 3 p.m. Rwanda time to 5:30, 2 hours and a half, the president is seated in a studio, opened up for everybody in the room and outside the country, including those who live abroad, to call in and ask the president personal questions, general questions, and the president is there to respond. Even some of them would even call as anonymous people, but still the president is there and he's able to respond to the questions. Now, how people define dictatorship, I don't really understand.
Could be the amount of years he has been in power, because we know in Africa...
No, we have gone through cycles of elections in 2003, 2010, 2015, people decided to amend the constitution. These are the people of Rwanda, including me, who is seated here. This is the choice I made. Now, if someone else from somewhere who is entitled to his views or her views can say anything, but me as Rwandan, I know what I need, we know what we have gone through, we know what we want, and that's why we are entitled to shaping the destiny of our country. And so, as much as we don't want to interfere with anybody's political process, we would request our friends. The other day I saw this young man, Abel, in this studio saying President Kagame is a dictator, and he did not even explain why. You see, the other day when we were entering into the referendum process, 2015, I came in this studio, and as I was preparing for my interview, I was wondering about this thing called term limits. Just a quick check through search engines. Then I checked how is the term limit defined in the European context, for instance, and Africa. I was comparing the two. And you'll be surprised, and I'm giving you this homework. You go and check how many countries in Europe have term limits. How many? More than 90%. More than, and I stand to be challenged, more than 90% of European countries do not have term limits.
So do you feel like they would want to impose something they're not doing enough?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you hear UK talking about, democracy in Africa, term limits, Germany, the same thing. The German chancellor is running for the first term. Nobody's talking about dictatorship in Germany. It's on Rwanda and other countries. And surprisingly, on the African continent, more than 90% of countries have term limits. And these are the countries that supposedly copied, the modern type of democracy from Europe. And where they copied, they don't exercise it. You count the countries. I mean, you go to Germany, you go to UK, you go to Netherlands, you go to Nordic countries, there's nothing.
So are you disappointed in the European Union for their failure to send observers for your elections like they have said?
I tell you, we've had very fantastic and strong relationship with European countries, but at times, depending on how they view our processes, we have these differences. In 2003, they actually refused to give us resources for the elections, but Rwandans came together and put together money to go about the elections. Even this year, if you followed in Kigali, one sitting, one night, I mean, the Rwandan business community raised money more than what we need for the elections. Even this weekend, I had people here in Nairobi who came to me, Rwandans. They raised more than $50,000 to support the elections because they own the process. So I think European Union don't owe us, anything in terms of conducting our own, electoral process. So the democratic dispensation that we do in our country is based on our needs and how we view our future. So I think our friends are welcome to come and support us. Those who feel like they can't be part of this process, they're welcome to do so.
These issues that you're raising have been raised by a number of countries as far as how they are ruled or the ruling terms are concerned in their particular countries. Do you think it's time Africa should be left alone to make its own decisions?
For me, the bottom line is to run people-centered politics. If you see what Rwanda has done over these 2.5 decades, almost, we built our political system with the view of uplifting the lives of our people in every aspect of the national life. So whether you have term limits, whether you don't have term limits, whether you know, whatever you do, we have kingdoms. At the end of the day, what is critical is for the government or political institutions to deliver services to people. So Rwandans, across the board, they will tell you where they were in 1994 and where they are today. Their lives have significantly improved because of the good political system that is focused on improving their lives.
Okay.
So I think, and I don't want to compare any political system to the other. What I'm saying, at the end of the day, it is the responsibility of national governments, local governments to deliver services to people. It's not about elections.
Yes.
It can't be about elections alone.
Okay.
It should be about improving the lives of the people.
Since 1994, Rwanda has been rebuilding, like you have said. So what are some of the issues that will shape this particular election on August 4th?
I think the upcoming elections, the reason why you don't even anticipate much, challenge against President Kagame is because he has really delivered. Like, the things that he has done are tangible. I mean, other candidates will try to present their manifesto, but I think the 2017 elections will be shaped by what this country has done. In fact, people are talking about continuity. The president has said, yes, I have accepted. And he just said when on 17th of June, when the party nominated him to be the flag bearer, said, yes, I know the process, I know the pressure that I have gone through in terms of accepting this, the pressure from outside saying I should not run, but this is a deal. I'm going to give it all in the coming 7 years, but in order for you not to come up with the same argument that made you to ask me to run again, you have to also give it all. Let's work together, work very hard to make sure that we double our efforts and we double the achievements we have made in the last couple of years. So I think he's accepting. He's talking about what he'll be talking during the campaign trail. It's about the people supporting him to deliver more than what we have done in the past. So
this election will be about auditing Paul Kagame's track record?
Absolutely. I mean, people will be talking about, it's not even an audit, it's about what is it that we're going to do to make things better than what we have done.
Finally, before I let you go, Kenya will be going to an election 4 days after the people of Rwanda do. You live here, you know the politics that have surrounded our electoral process. What are your thoughts about the Kenyan electoral process currently?
I have said it before, and I still insist that my sisters and brothers of this country should continue to run political processes on the basis of issues and policies. Identity politics have not helped any society. We have learned it the hard way, and I believe that the debate, the ongoing debate, should be based on the issues. And I'm happy that President Uhuru and his deputy, they have consistently been talking about what they delivered in the last term. So the challenge against the current administration should be based on what they have done. It's not about the numbers, it's not about sending someone home or someone coming in. It's about the issues that this country is facing and what the Jubilee government, I'm not being partisan, they have said, and I attended one of the last State of the Nation address, even Madaraka Day in Nyeri, I was there. The president talks about in every sector what he has done. So I think the debate should be what has not been done and what is that each party is going to do to be able to improve the lives of the people of Kenya. And I believe I'll be here. I believe that these elections will go smoothly. I have had people, being fearful of violence and all. Yeah, but I think Kenyans are mature enough. What we went through in 2007, 2008 has taught you a lesson, and I believe that the elections will go well.
Ambassador, thank you for coming in to Worldview. Always a pleasure having you, Ambassador James Kimonyo, the Rwandan ambassador to Kenya. That's